Second video on Merchant of Venice. Portia, I swear Nerissa, my little body, is tired of this great big world. Nerissa, if your troubles were as great as your good fortune, then you would be tired of the world. But as I see it, it seems that those who live in excess are as unhappy as those who start with nothing. One should be happy than to find oneself somewhere in the middle. Having too much bridges brings on gray hairs, while having enough to get by gives you a long life. Portia, well spoken, those are good sayings. Nerissa, they'd be better if people followed them. Portia, if doing the right thing were as easy as knowing the right thing to do, people would be better off. Little chapels would be big churches, and a poor man's cottage would be princes' palaces. It is a good priest who can follow what he tells others to do. I could more easily teach 20 people what the right thing to do is than actually be one of those 20 and have to follow my own teaching. Your mind may exercise control over your passions, but a hot temper trumps cold reason. Young people are like mad rabbits. They hop over the fences of good advice. But this kind of reasoning is not going to help me choose a husband. Oh my, that I use the word choose. I can neither choose to marry the one I want nor refuse the ones I don't. The will of my dead father overpowers my own wishes. It's unfortunate, Nerissa, that I can't pick which husband to choose or refuse. Nerissa, your father was always a virtuous and holy man, have good ideas when they are dying. He has set up a lottery where your suitors will have to choose between chests of gold, silver, and lead, and whoever chooses the right one will win you as a wife. And I'm sure whoever chooses correctly will be a man who will love you well. But that are your feelings towards the princely suitors who have already paid you visits. Portia, please name them one by one. As you name them, I will describe them and say how much affection I have for them. Nerissa, first there is the prince from Naples. Portia, yes, so that one's a stallion indeed. He does nothing but talk about his horse and thinks that it speaks well of him that he can put the horse shoes on it all by himself. I am worried his mother had an affair with a blacksmith. Nerissa, then that is the Count Palatine. Portia, he does nothing but frown as if he is saying, if you will not have me as your husband, choose someone else. He doesn't smile when he hears funny stories. I worry that when he grows old, he'll turn into a weeping philosopher. And since he is so full of impolite sadness as a young man, I'd rather be married to a skull with a bone in its mouth than to either of these men. God defend me from these two. Now, weeping the philosopher, it means that this is like a reference, a pre-Stoic, let me see, there are more words, reference to the pre-Stoic Greek philosopher Heraclitus, whose dark ideas about the consciousness of men led him. And then we see a skull with a bone in its mouth, then unto either of these men. A skull with a bone in its mouth. Okay, what does it mean? Number two, I don't know where it is. Number two is number two. Ah, to be labeled the weeping philosopher. Number two is likely referring to the skull and crossbones, often engraved on tombstones. So this was it. Now let me see. Nerissa, what do you have to say about the French Lord Monsieur Limon? Portia, God created him, so I guess he counts as man. I know it is a sin to mock someone like this, but he deserves it. He has a horse better than the prince from Naples, and thrones more than the Count Palatine. He imitates qualities of every other man, so that he seems to have no personality himself. If a bird sings, he starts dancing right away. And he will show off his fencing moves against his own shadow. If I were to marry him, I'd have 20 husbands. I wouldn't mind if he despised me, because if he madly loves me, I will never return his affection. Nerissa, what do you have to say about Falconbridge, then and the young baron from England? Portia, you know that I say nothing to him because he can't understand me and I can't understand him. He knows neither Latin, French, nor Italian, and you could swear in a court of law that I have practically no English. He looks like a proper man, but who can talk with someone who can't talk back? And how strange his clothes are. I think he bought his jacket in Italy, his socks in France, his hat in Germany, and his behavior everywhere. No, this is someone who can't talk back. What does it mean? A dumb show was a stage convention in which certain events were presented without dialogue, with silence from the actors. Nerissa, what do you think of his neighbor to the north, the Scottish lord? Portia, I think he has a neighborly sense of charity because he received a slap from the Englishman and only threatened to hit him back later when he could. I think the Frenchman promised to join up with him to pay the Englishman back and added another slap. I think the Frenchman promised to join with him to pay the Englishman back and added another slap. It means here this points to the promises from France to back Scotland in its disputes with England. Okay, history refers. Nerissa, how do you like the young German, the Duke of Saxony's nephew? Portia, I dislike him in the morning when he's sober, and I really hate him in the afternoon when he's drunk. At his best, he is not quite man, and at his worst, he is barely better than a beast, even If worst comes to worst, I hope I won't have to marry him. Nerissa, if he chooses the right casket and you refuse to marry him, I should be refusing to follow your father's will. Portia, well, then for fear that might happen, please place a glass of wine on the wrong casket because I know he will choose that one. I will do anything, Nerissa, to make sure I don't have to marry to a sponge. Nerissa, you don't have to worry about any of these lords, my lady. They have told me their intentions, and they are all planning on returning home and not bothering you anymore unless they can win your favor and some other way than your father's plan up with the casket. Sibyl or Cybele, um, Romain Cybele with this. Sibyls were ancient female oracles who lived to old age. Specifically, Apollo promised the Cumean Sibyl or Sibylla that her years would reach the number of grains of sand and she held in her hand. She held in her hand. And then six, I'll still be as chaste as Diana. This is number seven. The two things. An ancient female oracle who lived until extreme old age. And number seven, Diana, the ancient Roman goddess of virginity. Portia, if I live to be as old as the Cumean Sibyl, I'll still be as chaste as Diana, unless I am married by my father's plan. I am glad that this bunch of suitors have too much sense to play the game because there is not one among them whose presence I actually enjoy. And I pray that God may grant them a smooth trip home. Elisa, do you remember, lady, from your father's time in Venice, our scholar and the soldier who came here along with the Marquess of Montferrat? Portia, yes, yes, it was Lusanio, I think that was his name. Larissa, that's right, madam. Of any man my foolish eyes have ever seen, he was the one most deserving of a beautiful lady. Portia, I remember him well, and I remember him being worthy of your praise. A servant enters. How are things? What news is there? Serving man, the poor, it means it is old. Nerissa has named the six, and this is likely the sign that some editing was done on the play to add more suitors, and this sentence was never fixed to suit the great number. Okay, the four foreigners wanted to speak with you to say goodbye, madam. And ahead of them comes a fifth person sent by the Prince of Morocco, who brings word that his master, the prince, will be here tonight. Portia, if I could welcome the fifth person as happily as I will say goodbye to the first four, then I would really be ecstatic to see him, if he is as good as a saint but as dark as a devil. What does it mean? Devils were represented as the black in Shakespeare's time. Portia is basically remarking that no matter how good he might be inside, she would not like to marry him because of his complexion. I'd rather he listen to my confession than make me his wife. Come with me, Nerissa. To the servant, you, the word, and this replaces Sarah, was a form of address often used towards inferiors. You go ahead first, so while we shut the gates on one suitor, another one comes knocking at the door. Portia, Nerissa, and the servant exit. Shylock, three husband ducats. Ducat was a kind of coin. Basania. Yes, sir, for 3 months. Sherlock. For 3 months. Basania. And as I told you, Antonia will be the guarantor of the loan. Shylock. Antonia will. Ah, Basania. Can you help me out? And will you agree to the loan? Can I hear your answer? Shylock. 3,000 tickets for 3 months, and Antonia will be bound to guarantee the loan. Bassanio, what's your answer to that offer? Shylock, Antonio is a good man. Bassanio, have you heard anyone say otherwise about him? Shylock, oh, no, 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 no. I haven't. I just meant to suggest that that is a sufficient guarantor for the loan. But his wealth isn't certain at the moment. He has one ship bound for Tripoli and another for the Indies. Moreover, the word around the Rialto, what is Rialto? A central area for business and commerce in the city of Venice. Okay, Rialto is the place. Is that he has a third ship in Mexico, a fourth bound for England, and other ventures he has invested his money in abroad. Ships are just wood, and sailors are just men. There are rats on land and sea, and the thieves on land and sea, including pirates. And then there is also the matter of dangerous waters, winds, and troughs. But in spite of all these risks, he is still a sufficient guarantor. Bassanio, you can be sure of that. Shylock, I will be sure, and I will figure out how I can be completely sure. May I speak with Antonio? Bassanio, would you like to have dinner with Antonio and me? Shylock, oh yes, I'd love to eat pork. Pork is, as a Jew, Shylock cannot eat pork. Oh yes, I'd love to eat pork with you. The animal into which your Jesus exorcised the devil, I will buy and sell with you, talk with you, and walk with you, and so forth. But I will neither eat nor drink nor pray with you. What's the news on the realtor? Who is the man coming here? Antonio enters. Bassanio. This is Mr. Antonio. Shylock. To himself. He looks like someone who wants to take my money but then ask me for a favor. I hate him because he is a Christian, but I hate him even more because he lends out money without charging interest. And this is number four. You can say interpretation to that. Money lending covers thought of as a profession relegated to Jews who were derided for making this a means of living, which forces me to lower the interest rates that I loan at. If I get the better of him just once, I will satisfy my old grudge against him. He hates us Jews and he speaks badly of me, my bargains, and my hard earned money in the company of other merchants. Talking about interest, may my Jewish tribe be cursed if I forgive him. Bassanio, Shylock, are you listening? Shylock, I am thinking about how much money I have right now, and as best as I can remember, I can't raise the gross sum of 3,000 ducats right now. But that doesn't matter. Tubal, wealthy Jew of my tribe, will supply the rest of the money. But wait, how many months do you want the money for? To Antonio, hello, good sir. We are just talking about you. Antonio, Shylock, I normally don't lend or borrow money with interest, but in order to help my needy friend, I break my custom. To Bassanio, does he know how much money you want yet? Shylock, yes, yes, 3,000 ducats. Antonio, and for 3 months. Shylock, I have forgotten, 3 months. To Bassanio, you told me that. To Antonio, well, then, and you will be the guarantor on behalf of Bassanio. Let's see, but listen. I thought you said you don't lend or borrow money with interest. Antonio, I never do. Tyler, in the Bible, the reference is interpretation, and the story Shylock relates is from the Old Testament of the Christian Bible, the part shared in the Judeo-Christian tradition and referred to as the Torah in Judaism. Okay, in the Bible, when Jacob looked after his uncle Laban's sheep, and this is the Jacob who was descended from our holy ancestor Abraham, and his wise mother made him his father's heir so that he was the third to possess God's promise. Antonio, and what about him? Did he charge interest? Shylock, no, he didn't. He didn't exactly charge interest, as you would say, but listen to what Jacob did do. When he and Laban agreed that all the streaked and the spotted sheep would be his, it was the end of autumn, and so the sheep were starting to mate. And when the woolly sheep were starting to couple up together to breed, the skillful shepherd Jacob put some dappled sticks in front of the eaves while they were conceiving. When they gave birth, they produced streaked and spotted lambs, and those became Jacob's. Jacob became very prosperous in this way and was blessed. Profit is a blessing if it is not obtained by stealing. Antonio, but that was something that wasn't in Jacob's power to bring about. It happened through the hand of God. Did you tell this story to imply that it is good to charge interest? Is your gold and silver like a bunch of Eves and Rams? Shylock, maybe I make the money multiply as fast as sheep, but listen, sir, and multiply, what does this means? Charging interest on a loan is literally making that money multiplied by a certain fraction over a period of time at a risk of that loan not being paid back. Antonio takes note, Bassanio. Even the devil can quote the Bible for his own purpose. An evil soul quoting the holy words is like a villain who pretends to be good, a good looking apple with a rotten core. What a good appearance falsehood can have. Pilot, 3,000 tickets. So that's a good sound number, 3 months out of the 12 that make up the year. Then let me see the rate. Antonio. Well, Shylock, will we be in your debt? Shylock. So, Antonio, many times you have criticized me about my money and habit of charging interest in the realtor. I have endured it all of with patience and a shrug because we Jews are known for our ability to endure. You say, I believe in the wrong religion, call me a cutthroat dog, and spit on my Jewish clothing, all because I use my own money and to make profit. And now it appears so that you need my help. Okay, then you come to me and you say, Shylock, I need money. You tell me this, you who spat on my beard and kicked me as you'd kick a stray dog away from your household threshold, you ask for money. What should I say to you? What shouldn't I say? Does a dog have money? Is it possible for a dog to lend you 3,000 ducats? Or should I get bent to my knees and with bated breath humbly whisper, Here, sir, you spat on me last Wednesday. You spurned me then. Another time you called me a dog, and for all this courtesy you've shown me, I will gladly lend you this much money. Antonio, I am likely to call you such names again, spit on you again, and spurn you too. If you decide to lend this money, don't do it as if we were your friends. After all, when have friends ever charged each other interest? Lend me the money as your enemy, and if I break my part of the agreement, you can more happily punish me. Shylock, why, look at your temper. I will be friends with you and have your affection. Forget about how you have shamed me, lend you what you need, and take no interest. But you want to listen to me. I'm giving you a kind offer. Bassanio, and that will be kind. Shylock, I'll show you this kindness. Go with me to a notary and sign an agreement. If you do not repay me the agreed upon amount of money on the agreed upon day, in the agreed upon place, you will forfeit to me 1 pound of your fair flesh to be cut off from whatever part of your body I choose. Antonia, sure, why not? I'll agree to such a deal, and I'll admit there is much kindness in Jews. Bassanio, I won't let you agree to such a deal on my behalf. I'd rather deal with my poverty. Antonia, don't worry, man. I won't have to give up the pound of flesh. I expect to make 9 times the amount of this contract within these next 2 months. And that's a month before I have to pay him back. Shylock, oh, Father Abraham, what strange people these Christians are. They suspect the worst in others because of their own trickery. Please tell me this. If he fails to pay me back in time, what would I gain by taking a pound of his flesh? A pound of flesh taken from a man is not worth very much and isn't as profitable as mutton, beef, or goat flesh. I am telling you, I'm giving him this kind of offer to be friendly. If he will accept the offer, good. If not, goodbye. And for this kindness I show you, I ask you not to think poorly of me. Antonio, yes, Shylock, I will enter into the contract. Shylock, then meet me right away at the notary's office. Explain to him this happy agreement, and I will go immediately to gather up the ducats from my house, which I have left guarded by a careless clone. Then soon I'll meet you. Antonio, take care, gentle Jew. Shylock exits. This Hebrew must be turning to Christian because he is getting kinder. Bassanio, I don't like fair terms when they are thought up by a villain's mind. Antonio, come on, and there is nothing bad about this. My ships will come home with money a month before I have to pay him. Antonio and Bassanio exit. To be continued.